Welcome to today's deep dive into one of the most pressing questions in global politics. Will China become the next superpower? Over the next 30 minutes, we'll explore China's economic rise, military expansion, technological advancements, and global influence, while weighing the challenges that could stand in its way. Let's get started. First, what does it mean to be a superpower? A superpower wields unparalleled influence across economic, military, technological, and cultural domains. Think of the United States today or the Soviet Union during the Cold War. China's trajectory has sparked debates about whether it's poised to overtake the US and redefine the global order. To understand this, let's break it down. China's rise has been nothing short of remarkable. From a largely agrarian society in the mid-20th century, it's now the world's second-largest economy. But can it claim the top spot? Let's look at the evidence. China's economic growth is the backbone of its superpower ambitions. Since the 1980s, reforms under Deng Xiaoping opened China to global markets, leading to decades of double-digit growth. By 2023, China's GDP was over $18 trillion, trailing only the US at $25 trillion. China is the world's manufacturing hub, producing everything from smartphones to solar panels. Its Belt and Road Initiative has poured billions into infrastructure across Asia, Africa, and Europe, expanding its economic influence. In 2024, China accounted for 18% of global GDP in purchasing power parity terms, closing the gap with the US. But there are cracks in this economic armor. China faces a property market crisis, high local government debt, and a shrinking workforce due to an aging population. Youth unemployment hit 15% in 2024, and economic growth slowed to around 5%, a far cry from the 10% of earlier decades. Can China sustain its momentum? That's a critical question. No superpower is complete without military prowess. China's military budget, at $296 billion in 2024, is the second largest globally, though still dwarfed by the US's $877 billion. The People's Liberation Army has modernized rapidly, with advanced stealth fighters, aircraft carriers, and hypersonic missiles. China's navy is now the largest in the world by ship count, with over 370 vessels. Its growing presence in the South China Sea, where it claims vast territories, has raised tensions with neighbors like Japan and the Philippines. Meanwhile, its nuclear arsenal is expanding, projected to reach 1,000 warheads by 2030. Still, China's military lacks the global reach of the US, with its network of over 700 overseas bases. China has just a handful of outposts, like in Djibouti. And while its technology is cutting edge, its combat experience is limited compared to the US military's decades of engagement. Could this gap close in the coming decades? Possibly, but it's not guaranteed. Technology is the new battleground for global dominance, and China is a serious contender. It leads in 5G infrastructure, with companies like Huawei dominating global markets. In artificial intelligence, China's investments rival Silicon Valley, with firms like Baidu and Tencent pushing boundaries in facial recognition and autonomous systems. By 2024, China had filed over 50% of global AI patents and was neck and neck with the US in quantum computing research. Its space program is no slouch either, with a Mars rover, a space station, and plans for lunar missions by 2030. But there's a catch. China's tech sector faces US-led sanctions on semiconductor exports, critical for advanced chips. Domestic innovation is growing, but it's not yet self-sufficient. And heavy state control over tech firms has stifled some entrepreneurial spirit. Will China overcome these hurdles to lead the tech race? Time will tell. China's soft power, though, lags behind. Hollywood, English, and American brands still dominate global culture. China's tightly controlled media and censorship limit the appeal of its films, music, and literature abroad. Confucius Institutes promote Chinese language and culture, but they've faced scrutiny in Western nations over academic freedom. superpowers shape global culture and politics, and China is working hard to expand its influence. Through the Belt and Road, it's forged economic ties with over 140 countries. At the United Nations, China's voice is growing, advocating for a multipolar world order less dominated by the West. Compare this to the US, where cultural exports like Netflix and McDonald's are global staples. China's challenge is to win hearts and minds, not just wallets and governments. Without this, its superpower status might feel incomplete. Challenges and counterarguments. Host: so, what's holding China back? Beyond economics and soft power, there are systemic issues. The Chinese Communist Party's centralized control ensures stability but can stifle innovation and dissent. Political freedoms are limited, which could alienate global partners who value democracy. Human rights concerns, like the situation in Xinjiang or Hong Kong, have strained relations with Western nations. Trade wars and tariffs, especially with the US, have exposed vulnerabilities in China's export-driven economy. And geopolitically, China faces a wary neighborhood. India, Japan, and Australia are strengthening alliances to counter its rise. Then there's the environment. China is the world's largest carbon emitter, and its push for green energy is complicated by reliance on coal. Balancing growth with sustainability is a massive challenge. Let's not forget the current superpower, the United States. Despite challenges like political polarization and debt, the US maintains unmatched military, technological, and cultural influence. Its dollar remains the world's reserve currency, a status China's yuan is far from achieving. The US-led alliances, like NATO and AUKUS, are designed to contain China's ambitions. And while China's economy may surpass the US' in nominal GDP by the 2030s, per capita income, a measure of individual prosperity, will likely trail for decades. The question isn't just whether China can rise, but whether the US will falter. A superpower transition often requires the incumbent to weaken significantly, as Britain did in the 20th century. Is that happening? Not yet, but the competition is fierce. So, will China be the next superpower? The answer depends on how you define the term. Economically and militarily, China is already a great power, and its technological strides are impressive. But true superpower status requires global cultural resonance and trust, areas where China still struggles. The 21st century may not see a single superpower. Instead, we could be heading toward a bipolar or multipolar world, with China, the US, and others like the EU and India sharing influence. The race is on, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think? Will China overtake the US, or will it face too many obstacles? Share your thoughts below, and join us next time for another global deep dive. Thanks for watching.